So environmental microbiome exposure. So this is acknowledging the importance of our microbiome and the connection with the environmental microbiome. And the microbiome is simply just the collection of microorganisms, in whichever environment we're talking about, whether it's our body or the natural environment. We are more microbes than humans because there are at least 10 times more microbial cells than human cells. And because there's such a large number and they're so important, so they're usually critical for normal body function, they can be considered an organ. And this is just a very short list of just some of their essential functions. Clearly, within the gut, you're going to be getting vitamins and nutrients extracted from food, but they have a close relationship with the immune system because, for instance, in the gut, you're having 80% of the immune cells are within the gut, and there's a very close communication between the microbiome and our immune system, and this kind of education going on. Having the microbiome in a normal balance is going to prevent pathogens taking over. It's looking after the barrier function, whether it's the gut or in your skin, because there's all these, if you've got a surface of your body, there's a microbiome, whether it's in your mouth, your skin, your gut, the urogenital tract, and there's a relationship between them as well. So your gut microbiome regulates the skin microbiome. They talk to each other. There's a skin, a gut-lung axis as well. So we can say gut-brain talks to your brain, talks to your skin. The gut and the lungs. They're interacting, but versus the immune via the immune system, hormones. All sorts of metabolites they're producing that are being released. So there's a complex communication system there. So what I'm trying to say is it's really important. Yeah, and its diversity is one of the aspects that a healthy microbiome has, and that is sadly being lost in the modern world. So the loss of a normal microbiome balance is called dysbiosis. So dysbiosis, there's many factors leading into how this occurs, and it's bidirectional. So on one hand, you've got, if you have stress and inappropriate, unhealthy diet, pathogens and toxins, drugs, antibiotics, for instance, that's going to affect the microbiome, but also an unbalanced microbiome will make you more susceptible to stress. It decreases your resilience to toxins because it should be helping detoxify. So it goes both ways. So that's how we can tackle these things. It's both ways, which is quite nice how all of these aspects I'm talking about today actually do come together. So you can supplement your microbiome, say, from the environment, and you can reduce your stress going the other way with, like the sunlight exposure, getting the right levels of stress hormone through the day. And this will just keep coming up as we move through with the earthing and the nature therapy. There's so many, you name a disease, it's associated with dysbiosis. So you can just Google it. It's just everything. There's a lot with the major effect, though, of the dysbiosis, as demonstrated in this diagram here, this leaky gut. This is just a general way, a general mechanism of how you're getting the systemic effects. So when you have the abnormal microbiome, this is activating abnormal immune responses and inflammation in the gut, and this is going to increase the intestinal permeability, and this is where it becomes leaky. So you're going to have things going through that shouldn't be going through, toxins, pathogens, food that's not being digested, undigested food, And this is going to trigger more inappropriate immune responses, well, or maybe appropriate considering what's going on, but really you don't want that stuff to be in the system, and that's going to lead to that systemic inflammation, which is, you know, behind all of these conditions that we've got here, you know. And this is also summing it up again, you know, again, some of the factors behind why we have microbial dysbiosis. I talked about some of the factors, but the environmental ones, like just the urbanization, we don't have the contact with the biodiversity of the, you know, of the soil we used to have. And, you know, obviously C-section, you're not having the, you know, the best start to life either. And then the some of the conditions there that are already listed. And this is, you know, they come back to the immune dysfunction again and again. So if we think about inflammation, that is a type of immune dysfunction. So I'm sorry, there's a lot of writing on this, but it's really just a collection of facts and statements, you know, describing how important the natural environmental microbial diversity is and its impact on human health. So I'm not sure if we can read this statement from this quote from a report on biodiversity and human health, which was published by the World Health Organization and Convention on Biological Diversity, but it really just sums it up. This reduced contact of people with the natural environment and biodiversity loss in the wider environment leads to reduced diversity in the human microbiota, which itself can lead to immune dysfunction and disease. So this is just a consensus out there that this is happening. This is really important. You know, biodiversity in the natural environment is really important for the ecosystems, and the fact that the microbes are essential in the you know, biochemical cycles like nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon cycles. So as well as being essential to keep the, you know, the world going, it does influence us. We are absolutely connected, and when we don't have that that connection, as I'll be describing in the next slide, you know, that's where the health effects are going to occur. Because the soil is meant to be so diverse, and we have only 10% of that biodiversity, that's, you know, that's how we can enhance our own systems, by interacting with natural healthy soil. You know, here forest soil is 2 to 5 times higher in diversity than agricultural organic soil, and then the indoor and built environments have the least diversity, as you might expect. So, you know, if you're rural, you can imagine that's why you would have a more contact with a diverse ecosystem and have a more diversified microbiome, and essentially should be more resilient to disease because of that. That's the idea. This has been termed the fact that the beneficial environmental microbes we have evolved to be in contact with is called the old friends hypothesis. And it actually replaced the hygiene hypothesis, which I was more familiar with, but this is the updated version, if you like. And it's more accurate in that it's not about, you know, oh, we need lots of pathogenic exposure to educate our immune system, but actually these old friends in the environment, these beneficial microbes, they are essential to normal immune development. And when we don't have them, we are going to pay the price. You know, look at these are all the things that we got more and more of. You know, allergic and autoimmune diseases, multiple sclerosis with autoimmunity, and even mood disorders, because the increased inflammation in the body is actually affecting the brain and the cognition and the mood, you know. And you know, if you've got that dysbiosis and you've got the dysregulated communication, that's feeding into that inflammation. So this is just a far too complicated diagram about how the environmental microbes modulate the immune system, but really all you need to know is, they've got substances that directly affect the immune system, and also they help to change our own microbiome and hopefully make it create more balance that way as well. So one last thing on this point is an example of some of the beneficial microbes that have been identified are these butyrate producing bacteria. And butyrate is the most well-studied short chain fatty acid, and this is a product of bacterial fermentation in the gut. So this should be a normal part of what is going on in our gut, but unfortunately, because there is so much dysbiosis and we don't get have the appropriate levels of these good bacteria, we're not having the butyrate levels that would be ideal. And this is an issue because butyrate is really important for feeding our gut cells. It's maintaining our gut barrier and suppressing inflammation and supporting the immune defenses in the gut. It's also got links with maintaining blood sugar levels, which is obviously going to reduce diabetes risk. So low butyrate levels are an issue in modern and developed people. People living in, especially urban people, I suppose, who haven't been getting these as much exposure to the beneficial microbes as would be ideal. And just this is about some of the ways we get these bacteria in our bodies. It's not just eating them, which is the case if you're having plant-based foods, because you're going to be getting some soil on there, and plants have their own microbial community. Fermented foods are another source, but also just inhaling they come in through the airways, and they even transfer to the gut that way as well. So it's just being outside in a natural space. I should say, there are, you get probiotics now with soil-based organisms, also called spore-based probiotics. That's another way to supplement if, you want to give yourself another boost. But, being outside, you can't go wrong in a good, healthy, clean environment.